Welcome to Daily Dictation. This is an interactive video to help you practice your English. To do that, I'm going to read 5 sentences about crime at a high intermediate level. You will listen to each sentence and write it down as perfectly as you can. This will help you practice your writing and listening skills. After we write down each sentence, I'm going to show you what the correct spelling and grammar is in each sentence. I will explain the grammar, and I'm going to tell you some spelling tips and tricks to help you improve your writing abilities. Let's get started. This skill of writing things down as you hear them is best developed if you practice every day. So there's new sentences each weekday, new topics each week, and 2 English levels offered. The instructions for the activity. You will need a blank piece of paper and a pencil. 5 sentences will be read. Each sentence will be read 3 times and 1 more time at the end. You have to write down each sentence exactly as you hear it, and you will use your listening skills to do this. Try your best to apply the correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization in each sentence. On the screen, you're going to see numbers 1 to 5. Each number represents a different sentence that will be read. We're going to start with sentence number 1. Number 1. During the trial, the judge listened to the victim's evidence. During the trial, the judge listened to the victim's evidence. During the trial, the judge listened to the victim's evidence. Number 2. The victim of the assault gave a statement to the police. The victim of the assault gave a statement to the police. The victim of the assault gave a statement to the police. Number 3. Vandalism carries a penalty if the court finds the suspect guilty. Vandalism carries a penalty if the court finds the suspect guilty. Vandalism carries a penalty if the court finds the suspect guilty. Number 4. The trial ended with a sentence of 5 years for the robbery. The trial ended with a sentence of 5 years for the robbery. The trial ended with a sentence of 5 years for the robbery. Number 5. According to the witness, the evidence of vandalism was clear. According to the witness, the evidence of vandalism was clear. According to the witness, the evidence of vandalism was clear. I'm going to read each sentence one more time, starting with sentence number 1. During the trial, the judge listened to the victim's evidence. Number 2. The victim of the assault gave a statement to the police. Number 3. Vandalism carries a penalty if the court finds the suspect guilty. Number 4. The trial ended with a sentence of 5 years for the robbery. Number 5. According to the witness, the evidence of vandalism was clear. So that is all of our sentences for today. If you found that this video was a little bit too fast, I recommend that you listen again and you can adjust the playback speed to make it go slower. If you need to listen to specific sentence numbers again, just check the description for timestamps. Now let's have a look at each sentence, starting with number 1. During the trial, the judge listened to the victim's evidence. So we're starting with the word during, and so this is telling us that this is a dependent clause. Wouldn't make sense by itself. And then we have an independent clause after that. Because this would make sense by itself. And so because of that, we do need a comma right when the dependent clause is finished and before the independent clause starts. We also are referring to one victim. And so we are talking about the evidence that belongs to the victim. So that's why we have an apostrophe here to show the possessive nature of this relationship between words. For spelling, judge can be a tricky word because the D is not very clear. So practice that if you've got it incorrect. Victim is also quite a hard word because a lot of people like to write it with a U, victim, because that is how a lot of people pronounce it. However, it is two I's, so a U is not correct. So if you wrote it with a U, practice that. And another difficult word could be evidence. I would split it up, evidence, if that helps. Or you can split it up into two, evidence. It's up to you how you would like to split it up, but smaller bits does make it easier to remember the letter order. Number 2, the victim of the assault gave the statement to police. So in this case, if we broke it down, the victim of the assault is a noun phrase. This is the subject. The subject is super clear here and it's singular, but we have more information about the subject there. It's quite long. So we have a preposition of to show what has happened to the victim. And then we have our main verb in the simple past. A statement is the object of the sentence, and then we are using this preposition to provide the relationship between the noun statement and the noun police. For spelling, again, victim is hard for the same reason as up here. Assault is the double consonant that could be hard here, so split it up into two as salt. These are two smaller words, so I like to split it up just like that. Number 3, vandalism carries a penalty if the court finds the suspect guilty. So in this case, we have two clauses. This is a conditional type of sentence, and conditionals have two clauses. First, we have the independent clause at the beginning, and it can be rewritten so dependent is first and independent is second. That's totally fine. And then we follow by this if clause because it starts with the word if, and that is dependent. So because of the order of our clauses, it's independent first, independent second, then in that case, we don't need a comma. However, if I started with the sentence on this end and said, if the court finds the suspect guilty, vandalism carries a penalty. If I said it like that, it's totally fine. I would just need a comma after the clause when the word guilty is there before I put the word vandalism. So it would look like this. And see here, now we would have the comma because it's dependent first and independent second. Now, in terms of spelling, we have vandalism. The short form of that is vandal. I would split it up as vandalism. Ism is a really common suffix. And that would just help me remember the letter order and spell it out a little bit easier. Same with penalty. I would split it up right in the middle like that if it was hard to remember the letter order. And suspect, I would split it up like this if it was hard to remember the letter order. Number 4, the trial ended with a sentence of 5 years for the robbery. So the trial is the subject here. Ended is the main verb. And now it tells us a little bit more by using a preposition. This is really common between the word ended and with. Um, so we ended with something. You can say this about any kind of event, any kind of situation. When you're saying ended, we often say with. Really common collocation here. The event ended with a bang, we can say. Um, the wedding ended with a speech. So we really, really say this quite often, especially when we're talking about events. In this case, sentence talks about the length of time in prison. The spelling is the same as I'm writing a sentence in English. The spelling is the exact same, even though two words have different definitions. And it tells us more how long the sentence, whenever we're using a duration of time, um, we sometimes use the word of and we sometimes use the word for. And in this case, we are using the word of because it's following a noun. Sentence is a noun, so that's why we use the word of after that. 5 years, and then now we have the word for to tell us the reason why is he spending 5 years in prison for the robbery. And don't forget for spelling that double consonant. If you need help, split it up into two. Rob, Barry. Number 5. According to the witness, the evidence of vandalism was clear. Here again, we're starting with a dependent clause. So if we had this part by itself, it wouldn't make any sense. However, with this, the independent clause, now it makes sense with these two together. The evidence of vandalism was clear. That makes sense by itself. So that is independent. Now again, just like sentence number 1, because we have dependent first and independent second, we do need a comma right after that clause. And these words, the word according can be hard because of the double consonant, and the word witness can be hard if you forget there's two S's. So if you're forgetting the double consonants, just make sure that you practice writing the words a few times to really keep it in your mind. And this word could be hard as well. We had it up here. You can split it up to make it easier for you. But also the hard thing is remember the CE. Some people want to put S at the end because it is hard to know the difference. And then vandalism is the same as up here. You're going to want to split it up in the same way. So that is a breakdown of a little bit of grammar to talk about the importance of the punctuation here and a little bit of spelling tips and tricks for longer or difficult words. Some of the words that you should know related to this topic are bold, but I'm going to give you a better list. So if you want to talk about the topic of crime through your writing or through your speaking, it would be good to use these words because these words are a little bit more on the high intermediate to advanced side. So it shows that you have a really good range of vocabulary if you use these words. They're robbery, victim, vandalism, assault, witness, evidence, trial, penalty, and sentence. So make sure that you know the different word forms, make sure you know how to use them in your own sentences, and make sure that you know the correct grammar with them and feel comfortable with that. And then that would be really good in your conversations or any of your written work. Besides that, that is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.